Hey, listeners, thanks for tuning into the podcast. I just want to take a moment to mention the podcast sponsor, retrogamestore.com.au. Head over there for all your Game Boy refurbish and repair needs. Screens, shells, buttons, and all the bits and pieces. And there's a complete custom build made to order service as well. Also, plenty more retro gaming goodness like video cables, display stand and power supplies, controls, etc. And you can add the code PixelPie at checkout to get 10% off your order. Also, take a moment to say if you enjoyed this episode and haven't already, give it a subscribe or follow and a review where you can. And maybe you want to recommend the Pixel Pie podcast to anyone you know that would enjoy it. That'd be really appreciated. So thanks for listening, and now let's get on with the show.
Hi, here's Martin from Noodle Smarts, and you're listening to Pixel Pie Podcast.
Hey Martin, how you doing, mate?
Hey Scott, I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good. We planned this to be a little bit later in your morning, but you obviously woke up and needed coffee a little bit earlier, so we cracked in. This is what, like 7 a.m. where you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's close to 8.
Close to 8. Okay.
This morning. Yes.
Well, it's close to on a Saturday. It's close to 5 p.m. here. What I will say is, we were aiming for a little bit later, but what I will say was, I specifically planned this to record this episode with you just before my dinner time. Do you know why? Because there was food.
Tell me.
Food all over your Game Boy Instagram stuff, and I knew I was going to be hungry. So, oh man, it's insane. I mean, it's we're going to get into a bunch of stuff, but Noodles Mods, that's your Instagram. And there's a lot of Game Boys next to some super delicious looking noodles / pasta. So I guess we need to know. Let's just crack into it. What's with your? And just on a side note, you also have a another Instagram called Deputy Noodles, which you said was prior to the Game Boy stuff. But what's with Martin and the noodles?
Whoa.
Are you a chef or something?
No. I started with noodles because I love noodles, and it's a bit of passion.
Yeah.
I started a couple of years ago. In my childhood, I always eat these noodle packs and stuff like that. And someday I began and started with something special and totally grow in with that. That's all.
So you've had food in your life a lot, huh? There's one on your other noodle page. There's a post for your grandma, 87 years old, and I imagine a lot of your food. She's in your noodle page.
Yeah,
this is always a beautiful thing. Do you want to tell me more about that? Because maybe that's why you love noodles, because of your granny.
I grew up with my grandma has a restaurant, and I always in contact with interesting food.
Yeah.
Just German food like schnitzel.
Sausage
and things like that. Sausages and steak. And the traditional food we have here in German. And my father was a butcher. He's
butcher as in like meat.
Butcher, not butcher. Yes, butcher, not butcher. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I always in contact with food in my childhood, and maybe it's a bit
it's comforting, huh?
I grow up with all this stuff, and I always love to cook, And yeah,
well,
that's all.
your Noodle page. I mean, it's
Yeah.
you look at them side by side. You know, your Game Boy page and your Noodle page, and there's some difference in the aesthetics, but you know, it's very similar photography. Do you like, especially with your Noodle stuff, and I guess with your Game Boy stuff? Yeah. So with like your photography, your Noodle stuff, and the Game Boy stuff, do you just use a phone or do you use a camera? Because some of it's remarkable.
Uh, when I'm started with my first Instagram page, I just use my iPhone
Mm, mm,
and uh, I I use my iPhone and grow up and grow and grow and go more would go to go more professional. I have an old camera
yep.
and on one day I take this camera and try to make some pics and it's much better with the professional camera.
Yeah.
So I um, now from now I just take all my pics with this camera
Right.
and left my iPhone
Right. And
beside.
is that the same? Is that the same with your Game Boy pictures? You're using that camera?
Yes, of course.
Right. That's a lot of work, huh? Because you've got to take the camera, take the photos off the camera, and then put them onto like your iPad or something, and then upload them like that. You do some processing or
Yeah,
something, as opposed to a phone's easy because you take the photo, you go to Instagram, you just upload it, you know?
it's more a bit more difficult.
Yeah,
You
it
have
is.
the SD card, take some pictures, then SD card on connected to the iPad, then
Mm, mm,
uploading a
mm.
little bit Lightroom,
Yeah,
just some
yeah,
editing
yeah.
and nothing special.
Yeah.
I always try to keep my photos uh, as nearest as I can
Mm,
with the camera, so I
yeah.
won't do too much with an app or something like
Try and keep it
this.
real natural.
Yeah, I play with the light
Yeah,
and with the position and
yeah, yeah.
when I start to do some photography, I take the first 4 to 5 pictures and then I warm up and it ended with sometimes with 50, 60 photos.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's always hard to sort them out and
yep,
and yeah,
yep.
that's the normal way I do pictures and yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. There's a very a very sort of artisan way about you, you know, the way that your food and the way you take your photography. It's there's a and I kind of, you know, I can't say I could tell the person you were just from Instagram, but I, you know, when you look at a lot of Instagram or when you enjoy people's photography, you get a sense of what the person's trying to say. And there's definitely like a patience, like a lot of your pasta dishes are not just noodles and cheese. You know, there's always a number of different ingredients through the dish. So there's no doubt that you take your time to get just the right result. And I think that's the same with your Game Boys. There's a lot of really beautiful builds that are just right in my eyes. Some of the builds you've got
Thank you.
several Ghostbusters builds in here that there's the pocket. There's this Ghostbusters pocket that you've got with Slimer near the AB button and Ecto One. Where did you get that one from? That shell?
From Retrohan, Germany.
Right, right.
It was a nice old stock, new old stock shell he sent
Yep.
me a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with that. With it, absolutely.
Yeah, it's got the buttons as well. All the buttons are and the D-pad are all got the image over them. That's super cool, huh?
I try to keep use the colors of the typical Ghostbusters
Mm,
proton pack,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. Tell me about the Game Boys. Like, when did you grow up with Game Boys and retro gaming? I mean, you spent a lot of time in the restaurant and stuff, but was this something that, like many of us, sort of like later in life, we start to think, oh, I remember those, and you buy one, you buy two, and then you've got a dozen, and all of a sudden you've got a problem. How has that been for you?
That's the funniest part. I never had a Game Boy in my childhood.
Yeah,
Never ever.
me either. That's fine.
Just 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 some friends in school. I always want a Game Boy.
Yep.
And a couple of years ago, I became a Game Boy from an old lady.
Hmm.
Um, and I hold this Game Boy in my hands. It totally was damaged, absolutely mess. But I was happy with it. And so I started to search on the internet, how can I make this thing nice and shiny again?
Yeah.
So the story begins. I ended on Retrohan here in Germany.
Yep.
So I ordered the first parts and start to restore this Game Boy. Have a lot of fun, play a bit, but I want more Game Boys.
Yeah.
I, I had so many ideas at this moment. I keep searching for more Game Boys hardware parts, and I'm absolutely addicted with doing this, and I love it. I love it
Mm.
absolutely, and
Mm.
all the things I do in my life is always more than 100%, and I'm really happy to end it with this kind of hobby for
Mm.
now.
Is
Um,
do you I don't do you, what sort of work do you do? Is it related to sort of artistic stuff, or do you find the photography and the Game Boy is the opposite, and that's why you really enjoy it?
no, I absolutely not working with arts or photography,
Yep.
nothing like that. I'm in the disciplinary industry,
Oh, okay. Yep.
and that's the interesting part. It's just a hobby, and I was always in my life a bit creative.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty
Yeah.
common. I mean, I've had a few people on that are like, they're like, I know a couple of lawyers and a few other people that are like pilots and things like that. And it's always that, no, this is where I go. That's not that. And I collect retro games and I just enjoy kind of, like when you sort of said to me when we started this conversation before we were recording, and you're like, oh, it's pretty cool stuff behind you. And I'm like, yeah, like I don't have a man, I don't have a man cave. I have a boy cave. In this room is all the
Yeah.
things that as a boy, I think as males, obviously, as a little boy, like you said, you always wanted a Game Boy, and now it's a different thing because the Game Boy doesn't just represent something you didn't have; it represents a time in my life when I knew they were around. I mean, I pick up a Game Boy and think this was made in 1989, and I think back to me in 1989. And I've got a Game Boy all the way through, to the 3DS, and I can look it up and go, so when this Nintendo DS was out, what was I doing? And they're like, it's like this little kind of like a calendar almost of my life, even though they weren't there. So it's really interesting, isn't it? Did you have any other games in your life, like maybe like a Super Nintendo or like a Sega or something like that?
um, I have NES,
Yep.
Super Nintendo, PS1, PS2,
Okay.
PS4,
Yep.
uh,
So you have been a
Mega
gamer.
Drive.
Yep.
I have the hardware,
You're right.
but
Yep.
not the time to use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too much work on my
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
and too much modding. Modding
Yep.
is my game. Modding is absolutely my game.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes I just a cartridge in my Game Boy, play for a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
a half an hour, and then I stop, and it's enough for me. It's okay. I'm not stressed about because the new games on a PS4, I haven't the time to play such big
Such
games.
commitment,
You
isn't
need a
it?
lot. You need a lot of time. I just have no time to do this, and I haven't the fun to do this.
Yeah.
I'm more the retro gamer. I'm more relaxed to play the older games.
Yeah.
Because first it's more fun and not the pressure.
Yeah.
Like with the new ones, and
especially
that's
the
the reason.
original Game Boy games, you just sort of, because a lot of the original ones didn't have the saves, most of them. So you put the cartridge in and you play it for as long as you can. And when you're finished, you turn it off. And then the next time you turn it on, you'll just start again. And you just try and get that little bit further, or you're not really kind of like, oh, where was I now? Why am I in this castle? And how do I use the sword again? Every time I pick up like a PlayStation 4 game, I'm like, I haven't played it in 6 months and I can't remember how to do everything. Whereas the Game Boy's like 2 buttons. Obviously, I run, I jump, and I hit things. And it's, you know, you can just do that. It's much more relaxing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the fun I have with it. A couple of years ago, I borrowed a game from a friend called Fallout 3. Everybody know it.
Yeah.
I started this game and I totally was. It's the complete intro was so long and so much input and the tutorial.
I know what you mean.
I lost all my fun on it and just power off, and that's all. Never played again, and keep back to my retro stuff. And
I understand.
I'm more happy with that.
I understand, and it has to be.
And when you
keep going. Sorry.
No, nothing special. Just want to say, on Mega Man, you can use a password, so you can continue on a part you were in. And for me, it's okay to play Super Mario Land.
Exactly.
Every time from the beginning to the end, or like Tetris, and the newer games in the 90s have the batteries, and you have the chance to save your dates, and that's okay. That's enough for me to have fun with gaming.
Yeah. Did you
it's okay.
Did you ever get into Pokemon in anything, like with cards or the games or the cartoon or anything, any kind of Pokemon?
Yeah. Pokemon is, I don't know why, but Pokemon is the only franchise which is completely going beside me.
Missed it.
I missed it completely. I don't know why, because I'm too old, or I never understand this hype about Pokemon. I really don't understand it. And when I start with this Game Boy page and Game Boy hobby, you at some day you cross the Pokemon, and you have a game, you see shells, and so I start to go in this franchise and looks what happened with all this Pokemon stuff and and the people talk about, and so it's really interesting. Yesterday, Retrohan sent me some samples of some Pokemon booster packs.
Oh, nice!
And so I opened the first package and take these cards, and just the smell of these cards was so magical and interesting. So
brand new.
I feel these cards and this holographics, and so I think, hey, that's really cool.
And
yeah,
Uh,
it's yeah. That's my the same here thoughts.
yeah,
And
yeah. I know what you mean.
uh,
I didn't know it at all. I didn't know anything about Pokemon growing up, and I'm like
me
maybe
too.
I think you're like mid to late 30s, and I'm about 10 years after. So it actually wasn't until I kind of saw Game Boys, which was only about 4 or 5 years ago, and I have a daughter, and we kind of like, she's a kid, and she's like, "Hey, let's look at this Pokemon thing." And I get it, and I really enjoyed it. I had a real resurgence lately, bit more watching, a bit more playing on the 3DS and the card game and stuff. But I mean, for some people, it was a really good thing because you could just do it on your own, and there was adventure, and there was nothing really like it, the story and all that sort of stuff. But the cards, like you say, you open them up and what's inside and the smell. And the last time those
Hey, that's
the,
so
the last time those cards saw air, they
super
were in the
cool.
Pokemon factory, and now they're here, and you're like, no one's seen them, no one knows what's in there. Yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really super interesting. Yeah,
And the fact that
but
the cards can be like just for
yeah.
collecting, but even the simplest cards, because I
Mm,
play a bit, all of a sudden the simple cards, some really clever person will put them into a deck and they'll play. So they kind of got
mm,
this real magical too. It's like a coin. I can collect the coin, or I can use a coin to go and buy food.
yeah.
It's just
Mm.
this sort of double-edged thing. It's really cool. But it's a lot of money. They print money, Pokemon. They print it, making so much money. It's fine.
It's awesome. I think the most people collect just the colors, cards.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this
Mm,
possible?
yeah.
Um, I must say, when I have my first cartridge Pokemon for the DMG, I stuck it in, power on, and I don't know what I have to do.
It's good.
I walk around in this Pokemon,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
it's the reason why is I never know much about this Pokemon franchise,
yeah.
but I keep going to grow more in. Jonas from Retro Game Avo
Yep,
loves Pokemon.
yep.
He helped me a bit about this Pokemon franchise. Retrohan helps me a bit, so it's more interesting now for me. And all this Pokemon stuff you can buy for Game Boy moddings also interesting.
So
I
much.
love these lenses with this little Pikachu or other
Yeah, yeah,
Pokemons on it.
yeah.
It's such a nice thing to create a Pokemon Game
Mm,
Boy
mm,
mod. It's really is super cool.
yeah. What's this? Is it a store you keep mentioning called Retro? What's it called? Who sent you the cards?
In in Germany, he's called Retrohan. In English,
It must have a website that I could probably Google though, right? Retro. How do you spell it?
RETRO,
Yeah, yeah.
like retro,
Yep.
and then HAHN.
Okay. Let's have a look here. Retrohan. All right. Let's have a look.
There must be a link with Shopify. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's Noodles Mods. Bang, right in the middle there. You're his boy. Good one. You're his guy. Excellent. You're his star. Okay. Yeah. So what you do you know the people, or you just got a really good relationship and you just bought so many shells, they're like, hey, we like you. Here's a few extras and things like that.
With Retrohan,
Yep.
um, when I start with Game Boys, he was my first shop. I bought my parts, and
Yep.
then there was the second and the third order. And when I start to build some IPS mods and things like that, on some point there was a reason I contact him
Yep.
private, and the conversation was super nice, and I what should I say? I bought so many parts by him,
Yep, yep,
and we have so much cool conversation.
yep, yep, yep. That's
So
good.
I have the feeling we grow a bit together,
Yeah, yeah,
and I love his parts. I love his support. He's such a nice guy, and he
yeah.
helped me with questions and things like that. And at some day he started to support me with a big box of happiness. I don't know. He sent me out.
Yeah, yeah.
I just came home and there was a big box, a big delivery box. I open up and I look in and just saw parts,
Oh man.
completely full of parts.
Merry
And
Christmas.
oh man, this was such a amazing experience.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of lenses, buttons, shells,
Mm,
all you
mm.
need for Game Boy stuff.
It's
I think
like walking
it
into a
was,
pantry full of like all the different noodles and tomatoes and cheese and olive oil, and you're
yeah,
like, okay,
exactly,
what am I going to
exactly.
cook here? This is going to be good.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course,
it's beautiful. Yeah,
And I think it was a little thank you, thank you from him to
yep,
me.
yeah,
Um, and I was super surprised and happy with that. Uh, we we grow together.
yeah.
We
That's
talk
good.
about future parts, and
That's awesome.
uh, I can say he is a good friend for me.
Yeah, and a good
And
and like you said, just good support. It's important that there's so much out there like AliExpress and eBay. You can buy a shell, and it can just be junk, just
mm,
total junk.
yes,
I'm pretty careful
yes,
about
yes,
who I buy from as well, just from people that I've got a few similar situations. But I would never just buy straight off AliExpress. And when you've got someone like that, so when you see something that you want and you're like, hey, do you have this? Or, hey, I know if I buy that, I'm going to be 100% assured this is going to work because everything takes, if you're buying it from overseas, everything takes like 2 to 4 weeks to get here. And it costs you money and time and you've got all your parts. And then when you put it together and it doesn't work and it
yeah,
breaks your
yeah. You're right.
heart and
Mm,
these are the things that make a
mm,
hobby work.
that's so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the reason why I ordered on AliExpress maybe one, two times,
yeah,
and you have to wait for weeks.
yeah,
And
yeah,
imagine you buy order IPS, and
yeah.
it will arrive, and the display is broke or then you have to send it back and
Oh, it's
again,
terrible.
and
Takes the fun out of it. Yeah.
that's yeah,
Mm.
that's not cool. So this problem on Retrohan, I never had.
Yep.
When there's some issues, I call him. He directly sent me
Just replaces it straight up
some
and stuff.
after.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's a cool thing. And
Yeah. Um, I wanted to talk about like you're wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt, and
yeah,
there's a number of Turtles builds amongst your Instagram. There's a DMG and there's the pocket is really cool. And I know it's just sort of like a UV printed one, but it's really cool. It's like the original kind of like comic type. So have you always been into Turtles, or is this something that kind of, once you found the Game Boys again, you went, oh, I remember that, and that's awesome.
um, I love turtles.
Mm.
I grew up with them. I've got these action figures in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, I'm born in 84
yeah,
and grew
yeah,
up with all this super
yeah,
cool
yeah.
stuff
Peak
like
Turtles time.
Turtles,
Yeah,
Ghostbusters,
yeah.
and all this things I love in my childhood. And
Mm.
so when I start with this Game Boy thing, all this memories and energy from the childhood. I want to build in a Game Boy, and that's the funniest part about. And sometimes I go in my Game Boy office. I have a room just with Game
my
Boys
Game Boy
and stuff.
office.
And
That's funny.
yeah, there's my storage. I finished this week.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
my
your shelves.
own little
You showed me a picture of
my
your
own
shelves
little
all organized.
shop.
And, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes
yeah.
I just go in this room and just stand there and keep watching all my mods and just enjoy this feeling. I never sold my mods. That's
Keep them all.
the strangest thing. I keep them all.
That's,
I keep them all. I love them all. I won't let them go. I have no. I can't tell you why, but it's my. It's my thing. I love it.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I've only ever built for me. I've built one of at least everything, two of a couple of DMGs and a couple of pockets, and upgraded those and stuff. And they are only. I built one for my daughter for her 10th birthday. They're only for me. And I understand people that just build, and sometimes it's they get a bit of content, and then when they're kind of like they just never seem to get attached to them, and they would just move them on, and that's that type of person. But I think you and I are similar in that I kind of I surround myself with those things, and I will do the same thing. I will come into this room where I'm sitting right now, which is just full of everywhere you look is something else and something else and something else. And I work,
and I'm sure you love every little part,
every little part, every little thing, and especially when you get to travel a bit. My family and I, we traveled a bit, so sort of like every here and there is something that we got from Japan or something that we got from, like we have a lot of fridge magnets. It sounds terrible, but when you travel, you buy little magnets, you put them on your fridge, and our fridge is just all the countries we've been to, and it's really nice just to stand there with a coffee and just look at your fridge and think, that was such a good experience
Absolutely
to go to that place. Yeah. And this room is the same, it's the same.
Super nice.
Star Wars and Ghostbusters and Gundam and Game Boys and more Star Wars and more Star Wars. And it's a nice place to be. You got to surround yourself with some joy. And
good energy and vibrations.
I understand you. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about, if you would, is bicycles. Now, I'm a mad mountain biker in that I do it a lot, not well. But you and I were talking about this beforehand, and then you sent me some photos, and I can't find them on any of your Instagram of these custom-made motorcycles. Bicycles. I use the word motorcycle because when I looked at them, they almost look like motorcycles, like kind of like a laid-back Harley Davidson. So, man, I wish you would put some of these up on one of your Instagram for people to see. But maybe
I just have pictures on.
Tell us a bit
Facebook.
about it. Yeah, tell us a bit about these custom bicycles, because that's different. That's like welding and cutting and stuff, right? This is not plastic. This is not noodles. This is very different.
Absolutely different. No?
Yeah. Tell us about this.
The reason why I start is I'm a tool mechanic and have much things I did in past with metal things and stuff like that. And the funniest part is when I start this, I have no driver license.
Right. Okay.
And
so you need a bicycle.
My thoughts was when I have no car, I have to ride a cool bike. And so that was the beginning of the story, and it was a hard start and a hard part. I did this hobby nearly 10 to 12 years, and the beginning of all this bicycle stuff there was no market, no big market here in Germany. So I have all buy from the USA, Canada, and it needs weeks to collect all the parts, a lot of money, a lot of time. But I was so excited. When I started, it was 2005, something like that. And the biggest tires in this time you have was like 1-2 inch. And when I built my first bike and use a big rim and put this tire on and blow it up, and it became more and more bigger and massive and mean, and it looks so badass. And I really thought what just do I build? Is this really a motorcycle? I have I can't imagine how big all these frames and forks and bars and is till the parts are delivered and arrived by me. So I open up the boxes and think, oh my God, what's that? It's almost everything is larger than on a normal bike, and that's it. That's funny, but impressive. And when I finished my first bike, I was so excited to ride it first time. So I finished all and take this bike roll out of the street and sit on it, and just this feeling to sit low on the street with the white hands on the bar, and I start rolling and keep on riding, and my smile goes around the head. And I feel like a really badass.
So
really cool. And
so those frames, the pictures are really would be great if you could put some pictures up. Maybe if you put them up with a Game Boy near them, you can slide it into your Game Boy stuff, or with a bowl of noodles. So you made the frames like yourself? Because they're pretty specific frames, right?
No, I don't. The reason why you are a bicycle rider too, you know, if you weld a frame and you ride fast, or you do some downhill, you have to trust the frame not to break.
You don't trust yourself?
And no,
that's cool.
Just a little. I'm not a welder,
right?
And I can weld, but it's more gluing something together than it's professional weld.
But even like with your experience as a tool mechanic or whatever it is you did, like I think people don't realize, you don't just kind of get a bicycle and put it together. Like for you, there's like the hub width and the bottom bracket width and the crank length and which chain you're going to use and a whole, your headset bearings. And it's just, you've got to make all these, if you build from scratch, there's some people get out there and they do their dream build of a bike and they put all the right parts on it. And they know that I haven't just bought the bike that comes out of the box. I've bought the bike that I want 100%. And you've got to do everything up just tight enough and not too tight and get everything running nice and smooth. It's like a Game Boy in a way, but just a lot bigger and about 10 times more expensive.
Yeah, that's right. But it's the funniest thing to decide how your bike or a Game Boy, how your own bike and Game Boy looks at the end. and just not go to the supermarket and buy you a bike for $100. And
yeah,
that's not funny.
Like you do have a couple of pictures of bikes on your Noodle page, and they're like, I guess some people would see them like as a road bike, but they're single speed fixed gear, aren't they? That's crazy. So for those that don't understand, when you turn
absolutely crazy,
you turn the pedals, and if the bike's rolling, the rear wheel just forces the pedals to turn over all the time, and you have no brakes.
Yes.
So the way you brake is you lift the back wheel a tiny bit off the ground, and then when it comes down, you push back with your foot, and that is how you brake. So when you're in traffic, your feet are turning, and you don't just stop until that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Do you live in the city or do you live out in the country?
A small village.
Yeah,
small village, nothing special. And the thing with the fixed gear, with the brakeless, to skid to brake the bike, or to stop the bike, it's a big adventure. It's really fun.
It's freaking crazy. That's what it is.
Yeah, but when I drive in traffic, or when I go out in the traffic on the streets, I have a front brake. And I attached always with my fingers, because not about me, more about the respect to the other people's out there.
Fear.
I want not to hurt somebody.
Right, like pedestrians.
when I'm stupid.
Yeah. There's one bike here that you've got on your Noodle page. What does it say? It's got a wooden crate on the front, and you've got some salmon and some fennel. And is that one of the bikes you built, the black one with the red rims?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's
big
one of mine.
White wall tires, and the pedals are down here, and you're sitting back like badass with your salmon and your wine. Yeah.
It's the most comfortable bike I have.
Yeah, it's like an armchair.
A good saddle,
a
good position, a nice moon bar. You have a really good comfort on it, and I use it as a daily when I go grocery and buy all my ingredients. The wooden box on the front fits many stuff, and it's the best way in spring or in summer evenings to go out and organize some things and just chill and relax, and that's the coolest part of it.
Yeah. Is your village fairly flat? Not many hills in your village?
It's really flat here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really flat.
That helps when you got a single speed fixie.
Yeah. I live in Stuttgart for 2 years, nearly 2 years, and there are so many hills, and this was no fun to ride my bikes, and that was the reason in the end to came back
right
where I come from.
Yeah,
and enjoy my bicycle rides again.
I follow a few people on YouTube that live like in America, like in New York and San Francisco, and they're the bicycle couriers, and they're single speed, fixed gear, like in the traffic, and they're just through red lights and between people and between cars, and like they give the impression life's great, but there's always groups on there, and they hang out the same places between jobs. And this is not like dudes on Uber bikes. These are people that I think actually want to kill themselves, because it must be just so risky. They must have so many friends getting knocked off bikes and things like that. It's I mean, people jump out of airplanes as well, like it's dangerous too. But it just amazes me this constantly, every time you go past a car or a person or through a traffic light, you're like seconds away from getting cleaned up. And these guys kind of push it too. They're kind of a little bit jerks about it. And it's like, oh man, You do. You could, if it did a
It's
blindfolded, that would just make it
it's
that one
not
little bit hard.
okay.
No, I don't think it is. It's crazy. Mm.
The thing with the fixed gear scene is there are more like some outlaws.
For sure.
It's a
Yeah.
completely own thing lifestyle they have,
Yeah.
and I watched movies. There
Mm.
is a documentary called Makin, and you can see they drive in traffic, hold the hand on a bus
Yeah. Yeah.
beside a
Yeah.
bus,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drive with the bus,
Yeah.
and cross the street over a red light, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it looks cool in a video, but it's really uncool in real life.
It's very risky.
You risk so
Other
many
people.
other people's,
Yeah.
and
Even the
yeah.
even the single speed stuff is another thing again, even if it's not a fixed gear. Um, like I ride like single speed up front, but 12 gears in the back. And I can tell you right now, and I ride off road and kind of enduro stuff. So it's like there used to be cross country and there used to be downhill, and enduro is that kind of in the middle where you can go pretty fast, lots of suspension travel, but you can still ride up reasonably comfortably. Now, I can tell you now from the smallest gear, which makes me go fast, to the biggest gear that makes me climb, 12 of them. I need
Mhm.
all 12, and there's guys and girls out there that just have one gear somewhere in the middle. And it's like,
Yeah.
it must be the lower, like on the lower end, like the climbing end, but it's still so impressive when someone rocks up and you see his chain and you can just see straight away no cassette, no rear derailleur, just a tensioner. And I'm like, you mad bastard. Like, I need all 12. Yeah. So when you combine them together, one gear and fixed, that's crazy. That's what you got to live in a flat village if you want to do that.
It's this thing with this fixed gear is something I don't know how to explain, but if you ride this bike, you are with this bike.
Yeah, yeah.
When the bike is rolling, you are on the pedals, keep going, and
Yeah.
you connected to the street, and it's impressive, really impressive.
Yeah.
And you have always look
Yeah.
look everywhere and
Yeah.
keep concentrated.
Never relaxed.
And no, and that's the funniest part. You are really under pressure and
Yeah.
excited, and
Alert in the
it
moment
pushed,
more.
it yeah, and if you have the right music in the ears, then it's it's more powerful.
Yeah, sure.
And when I'm out with a fixed gear, I ride an hour, 1.5, and
Yeah.
then I'm absolutely finished. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a kind of a sport fun I have.
For sure.
And
Because there's no
when I'm
resting.
more,
The pedals are always turning. And if you're not pedaling for
yeah,
acceleration, you're keeping the momentum. And if you're not keeping momentum, you're looking ahead and you're just trying to slow them down a bit and just sort of keeping it in that groove where you never stop.
mm,
And you just always, the hour and a half is like constant, just constant, constant, constant. That's
the interesting thing on it is for me, when I'm on my fixed gear and concentrate and do this thing, I clear up my mind.
for
It's
sure.
like
For sure.
uh,
Like a meditation.
um, yeah, genau,
Yeah.
that's the right word.
Yeah.
It's more like a meditation,
Yeah.
and when I'm back, first I'm happy I'm still alive, and then I and then I calm down, and all this positive feeling is a good thing. And
100%. I can identify. Yeah.
yeah, I think more people out there have to find their own way to sometimes come back to your own mind control, or your
Yeah. Your own,
own
yeah. Know yourself a bit more.
balance
Yeah.
your balance.
Mm.
And yeah, and like since we have COVID here in Germany, many guys are totally stressed and yeah, and the best solution is to find a way out of this stress. So I use my fixed gear or keep go out jogging. Not often, not too much. I walk every day nearly 15 to 20 kilometers on my job
Wow.
on the recycling center.
Yep.
Yes, and so I go 1 to 2 times jogging or ride a
Wow.
fixed gear
You
one
walk
time a
you
week.
walk 15 to 20
And
kilometers a day in your job.
the most I have was over 23
Wow.
on
That's so
the
good.
COVID, on
Yeah.
the COVID peak point. That was, or my feet are burning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you must count yourself lucky. I mean, some people might say, "Oh, no, thank you," but then these years of doing this, you're doing yourself so many favors because some people are just stuck in an office and they hate their job, and it's very hard to find
Yeah,
anything to lift you up. It doesn't have to be an office. You could be working in a hardware store. You could be working at a petrol station, and so all these places, all these people are just like they're just so stuck there. And then they just come home. Then they're stuck there and they come home. I know what you mean about riding though. Like with the mountain biking, it's similar, but I don't have to worry about people and traffic. But I kind of try to ride pretty fast. And if I stop and think
mm,
about something that isn't about the riding, it's very easy to get distracted and you're going to smash into a tree and you're going to hurt yourself. So it's the same thing. All you think about is just the riding. And when you finish the riding an hour and a half, it's like, it's like a meditation. You come away and all right, I don't have to think about that now. And sometimes little things when you're doing it, even though you're concentrating, there are little things going on in your mind, but they're just going on slowly, just bubbling away, as opposed to being right there shouting in your face. You're like, you know what? I'm going to do this and just let it all sort itself out. And it helps a lot. And I think you're right. Many people aren't lucky like you and I and other people's
absolutely,
to have
absolutely.
this opportunity just to find something. Some people do judo, some people paint, some people make Game Boys. Some people
Yes,
go to the
yes,
movies and read books, but you need to find something that really just takes you away totally, not just distraction, 100% away from everything. It's not escapism.
yeah, of
It's
course.
healthy, man. Healthy. Unfortunately, for some people, it's alcohol and other things like that, and that's fine. Have a couple of drinks, but that you wake up and you're like, no, no, I didn't deal with that at all. I just ignored it. Mm, yeah. So, what's the plan? Are you sort of? I guess you're just one of those guys that's just building Game Boys and making everybody hungry with your Instagram and yeah. I mean, do you have any kind of plans to do anything bigger? Or like, I'm not saying you can do any better, but have you got sort of maybe some projects lined up with Retrohan or other? There seems to be a lot of collaborating going on these days. Do you have anything kind of bubbling away you want to share with us?
I have plans. I collect many ideas
Yep.
and collected many ideas
Yep.
in the last weeks, and I will looking forward to do more collaborations
Mm.
and Red Rohan give me the position for a brand ambassador. I'm
Oh,
really thankful about.
beautiful.
That's a really
Beautiful.
nice thing. Big
Yep.
thanks, Manuel. And we have many ideas and upcoming parts and things we want to present the community. I will do some builds, to present more parts, and show some interesting things I like and love. And there are some guys I work together on Instagram. We push us together, each other, and there are more than enough ideas we have to do. And yeah, we are in progress. We are always in progress.
How do you get hold of your original Game Boys? Are you like the rest of it, you just sort of pick them up off sort of eBay and local market, or do you have like someone in Japan, or how do you get most of it? Because you do quite a few builds. So how are you sourcing your original Game Boys for the boards and things like that?
The most Game Boys I collect are from some second-hand connections I have.
Yeah.
Noon from my job, they do this on second-hand shops on in German called Flohmarkt, and
All right.
markets out.
Yeah.
You can collect Yardmarkt like this,
Yep.
and they give me this Game Boys for really cheap prices, and I'm really thankful about this.
Yeah, cool.
That's the reason, because I can keep going with all this stuff. When you look on eBay, the prices for a standard Game Boy without a lens and glue and scratches, you have to buy in Germany 60 to 80 bucks, and that's absolutely insane. And I can't buy a Game Boy for nearly 80 bucks and spend another 100 250 bucks to create a Game Boy. That's not fun. That's not the idea behind.
No.
Manuel from Retrohan bought some bunches in Japan.
Yep.
That's a new trend, I think. Many
big
modders bought this chunk Game Boy boxes, and every time a little adventure, which one is working and which one not. But we have good experience with that, and I really thankful. I'm connected with so many people on my job. I asked the people directly when they bring something, and hey,
that's cool.
How are you? And a really nice story. I met a friend I saw last time at the elementary school, and I'm 37 now. It's a long time ago. And we met us. We are happy. We give us a hug, and he told me he watched my Instagram, my first account, and there I have some stories posted with some Game Boy stuff. So he asked me if I'm interested in Game Boys and stuff, and I told him I love it. So the second time he come to the recycling center, he came out from the car with a little gray box, and it was this Game Boy carriage boxes, and give me this, and say, take this. It's a gift from me for you.
Oh man, that's so cool.
And not really, I said, open up the box. There was a Game Boy inside, and free games, and I'm totally happy. If I want to give him some money, but he won't. He just want to give me as a gift, and that's friendship. That's connection. He was lucky I helped him, and I was lucky he gave me. It's a nice thing, a humanity thing, and I love it. I love all this connection with these people. I'm a absolutely helper and giver, and my attitude is just love and be loved, or give or earn what you give, and it's a good tactic. I live with it the last few years, last long few years, and I enjoy it. I love to help people on my job. It's an interesting thing. So many things. People visit us with so many things they don't know what to do, and it's always a pleasure when a grandma comes and it's totally stressed and overpowered, and you can help her
Mm,
with the garbage and trash
yeah.
and all this stuff. And it's I'm happy to reach on this job, ended on this job. I started by Mercedes-Benz with my job when I was young as a tool manager, and I worked so many years for automotive doing monotone stuff, and I'm always unhappy with this.
Yeah.
So it's so cool for me to have this job on the recycling center in this waste
Yeah.
disposal industry, and that's really
It's
it's
much
really
more
more a
meaningful.
lifestyle for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and more a lifestyle than a stupid job you have to do. You hate
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
it's a really nice and cool thing, and I'm absolutely happy with it. Absolutely.
That's
So many peaceful and lovely guys out
mm,
there.
that's beautiful. I think there's probably lots of people that envy you, and it doesn't matter what the job is. Like, you're working with trash and stuff that nobody wants, and you're able to move it on, and it's fits very much with the Game Boy stuff, doesn't it, for you then? Because you're like, you take something that's old and kind of janky, and you give it a new life, and you make someone happy with the Game Boy, namely you. Whereas at work, you're making other people happy with the recycling and stuff. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully other people are listening and sort of thinking, what, I do need to make a change, because it's the decisions that we make the small decision can put us on a path that takes us to a place that we didn't think we could get to. But good on you. Good on you. Yeah. Well, look, it is almost my dinner time, and I've sat here for the last hour and 10 minutes and just looked at noodles between your two pages and
Hungry
pizza.
again.
Yeah, I know, pizza and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, oh man, my tummy's starting to grumble and all that stuff. So we might kind of we'll start to wrap it up a bit there. But as anybody that listens to the podcast, they know that at the end we always give the guest an opportunity to kind of do some shout outs, or talk about the people that you've mentioned Retrohan a lot, and I always do a shout out. And my shout out for this episode is Retro Gamer X 1987. This is Johnny. Johnny is a fellow Australian down in Melbourne, so a bit further south than me. But yeah, I think Johnny's just one of those guys that just is into retro gaming, and just enjoys everything from Xbox to sort of NES and PlayStation in between. And as I say this regularly, I just like to have my Instagram, when I look at it, it's what I look at that sort of cheers me up and makes me want to play a game, or makes you want to go on eBay and spend too much on like something, like he's got stuff here to do with like Simpsons figures, and man, you can just flick through there. He's into the Switch and Lego and all sorts of stuff. So Retro Gamer X 1987, Johnny, I think you might be out there listening, because I've chatted with him a couple of times, and awesome. Thank you so much for just being one of those feeds that's all your own stuff and super positive and super making me want to spend money on stuff. That's cool. So I'll hand it over to you. We've like I said, we've talked about Retro Han quite a bit. Obviously, a big part of your Game Boy experience. And obviously, Deputy Noodles
Yeah.
is your other account. I don't know whether you keep that updated, but I'll put that in the show notes as well. But yeah, it's an opportunity for you to sort of mention some other people that we've spoken of. Jonas, Retro Game Evo. Jonas is a good egg. I speak with Jonas quite regularly, and
Absolutely.
he's such a good.
Absolutely.
He's one of my favorites. I say that about everybody, but he really is.
Absolutely.
He's just so creative with all his the laminate, the front covers sort of decals he's doing, and just he's got a printer now, and he knows how to use modeling software, and he's just a beast. He's gone into like beast mode. He's always sending me what is this and that, and
I call him the magician. Absolutely,
yes,
the magician.
the magician. That's
Absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Oh man.
So have you got some other peeps that you want to kind of maybe mention just while you got this opportunity, or there's no obligation? Something we just sort of go, oh, look, everybody's great, but this opportunity for you.
There are so many people out there. I can't count everybody.
Yep.
This community is amazing and so peaceful, and I really enjoy this. There are so many creative people out there, like Joseph Tompkins.
Yep.
And Nintendo. Pack City is really impressive. Game Boys in the Wild do so much good shots. And the last week's D-pad that blow my mind. It's really awesome.
Yep.
And the girls, there are so many girls with mods. I really surprised. Little Live modding, Kiki Stardust, and Drushka. They did so much expensive and impressive stuff. And I really enjoy to watch their content. It's always a pleasure. And there are really some closer guys I'm in contact on Instagram, like Star Pocket Fantasy, Tendo, Andy from Tendo, and especially Boys Mods and Super Goosey Land, and of course Retro Game Evo. These are the guys I really in close contact. We have contact nearly every day, and it's absolutely pleasure, and we are so creative. Hugo from Super Goosey Land is such a funny guy. In every contact, in every conversation, I love all the time. I love all the time, and he is really creative. A creative guy.
What is that that Instagram you were talking about then? Super
Goosey Land.
How do you spell that? Goosey Land.
Gusi.
Oh yes,
and then land.
Hugo,
Super.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's kind of cool, isn't it? Oh, nice. I love all the card stuff that's coming out at the moment. It's like just
that's
custom
super guy.
Custom cart stuff, and just again, speaking of Jonas, he's like printing carts and things like that, and he's
labels and stuff.
Yeah, the label stuff blows me away. There's a few guys out there and girls out there that just do. Man, I don't know. I feel like I'm very qualified to just sit back and enjoy and encourage people to support them, and support them myself where I can, because there's no way I could create. I just don't have it in me. I don't have the artistic skill. I don't have the patience. I don't have the skill with software or whatever it is, electronically. And I'm just so thankful that people out there are fully gunned up to do all this sort of stuff for us. And I can copy stuff here and there and do some mods, but most of the hard work is done. We stand on the shoulders of the great people before us, so to speak.
Super Goosey Land also creates some boxes.
Right.
He designed, and this is also a really good thing, cool thing.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy his content. He's such a nice guy, really nice guy.
Yeah, awesome.
And also, Boys Mods is such a talented and creative guy. He's from Dutch, and
Yeah.
I am in contact with him since more than a half year, I think.
Mm.
And he had such a beautiful Game Boy Pocket. In a normal way, I made my builds for my own, but this
Mm.
pocket was so beautiful. I call him and say, please, please give me this Game Boy Pocket. I will
I
buy
need
this.
this. Yeah.
And he's I need this. I open the delivery box and hold this in my hand, and um, you know the feeling when you buy a Game Boy and it's on this level you made your own Game Boy. It's not it's a cheap chunk or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a bad build mod
Yeah.
with bad center display or things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
That's me.
has he has a really good quality,
Yeah.
uh, really good quality, and I feel this. And it's a pleasure to hold a good Game Boy in your hand. You buy from somebody you don't know,
Yeah.
and since then we in close contact, and it's really fun. And also with retro game Evo, I have so much fun, and for him a big hug and thank you, Jonas. You helped me so much at the beginning. Jonas was this guy who pushed me in my new account, in my
Right.
second account.
Yeah.
I asked him, and he said, uh, "Why not? Just do it." And we have so much. We collected so much ideas and did so much things, and
Mm-hmm.
I have really a good experience with him. I love him. He's so a cool talented guy, and he told me he will visit Germany
Yep.
someday, and I invite him for some noodles on my dish to have
Awesome.
some
Yep.
good noodles
Yep.
and some Game Boy talk.
Yep.
Scott, you also invited. If you ever be in Germany
Ah,
at some
thank
day,
you.
call me, come by my
Thank you.
house,
I
enjoy
think
some noodles.
I will get very fat if I hang around with you too long. But
Uh,
then I can ride your bike and I can burn all the noodles off. So it's fine.
yeah, it's a good, nice combination.
It
You
is good.
can do what you want.
Yeah. I see what your trick is. That's a good thing. I'm
Yeah,
the same. I mean, I have friends that ride like e-bikes, electric mountain bikes, and it just means they can go up quicker and they can come down. And they're like, they can ride for like 3 or 4 hours, and that's fine. But I'm still at the point where I need exercise so I can eat what I want, and I still have to be careful. If I had an electric bike, I'd probably just get fatter and fatter. So no electric bike for me quite yet. I'll wait till my
yeah.
knees are too sore or something. And I like the feeling of
I
taking
do not
myself there.
understand.
Yeah.
I do not understand the whole thing behind e-bikes. When people are old or sick,
Yeah.
then it's okay. But when uh, riders go in the forest and will do some downhill or things like that and use the e-bike,
Yeah. I,
I don't understand
yeah.
it.
I can understand like people that might commute and they don't want to get all hot and sweaty so that the bike gets them to work and back. I mean, it's no different to a scooter. At least they're pedaling a bit. And with the mountain biking, I can understand, if you want to kind of just enjoy the downs and it's easier to get up. And I understand that. But I think there's something about doing, like, if you ride for say 2 or 3 hours and coming back and knowing that you did all the work. It's all you weren't
Yes,
helped.
that's
And
what I'm
that
talking about.
and these
That's what I'm
guys will
talking
say, look,
about.
if I can ride 20 kilometers in an hour and a half, they'll be like, well, I could ride 40 in 3 hours. And that's, because it's helping me. They still burn a lot of energy, but I'm still like, yeah, but it's a difference between like a sailboat and a speedboat. I'm using the wind. I'm getting there. The speedboat needs the engine. So, and I don't see a problem with either. But at the same time, there's some people that are like, you got to get an e-bike. You got to get an e-bike. Well, for starters, to get an e-mountain bike at the moment in my country is about $15,000. I could buy a car for that.
Ooh.
I find it very difficult to justify that kind of money on a bicycle. My bicycle cost me $5,500. It's kind of in there. It's still pricey, but not like way up there. And I'm okay. I've got $10,000 in my pocket instead, so it's fine. I still have fun and I still burn energy.
I think e-bikes are really fun to ride, of course.
Probably.
But in for me, I'm more with bikes about exercising, and yeah, I ride a e-bike a year ago, and it's really fun, but I miss something.
Yeah. You feel a bit disconnected from the bike.
Yeah,
because you're saying, look,
maybe the reason why.
Yeah, with the fixie, you are like, I feel everything.
Yeah. It's the opposite of my fixed gear.
Absolutely,
that's maybe the strange feeling.
It'd be like driving like a nice old car, like imagine like a really old like Mercedes Benz, like from the 40s, 50s, and you can feel it when it hits a bump. You feel it, and then you kind of like, if you steer it, it's like, oh, it's a bit heavy. And when you put the brakes on, they're kind of, we're going to stop one day. And then you get in a Tesla and it's like, yes, it's an experience, but it's not the same experience.
Just like an airwalk, so smooth.
Yeah. And that's probably nice, but I would rather the old Mercedes, to be honest. All right, buddy. Well, look, I'm going to let you go, and I really do appreciate you sort of coming in so early in the morning, and I can see some beautiful sunshine through your window there. I hope you're having a good day today. You're not working today, so that's a start, even though you love your job. And man, thank you so much.
I have to thank you. I appreciate that you invite me. I'm really surprised as you asked me. And
never.
A big thanks for you. And a big thanks for all the guys out there. I hope it was okay. I was a little nervous and my English is not the best, but I hope you guys all understand me. A big thanks to the whole community and especially to you, Scott. Thank you so much.
No worries, man. Look, the language thing, I know when we first spoke, and I kind of have tried to speak to a few other people, like the language thing is, if you can speak some English, if you can send a text message or, the messenger thing, then I refuse to kind of not have a conversation with someone about the things that we have in common, just because obviously it's lucky for me. If you had to turn around and said, to tell you what, yes, we'll do this, but you have to speak German, obviously that wouldn't have happened because I don't speak any German. So it's really, I can imagine in your head, you've had to you're like on the fixie. Like you can't stop. Your mind is turning over constantly. The pedals are working, and I'm sort of just sitting on my e-bike going, all right, buddy, come on, let's just have this conversation.
That's a good example. That's a good example.
So I think after this, you'll probably go, now I can just think in my own language. It's so much more relaxing. So, mate, I appreciate it. It's very brave of you, and it's very awesome to meet you. And I'm really hungry now. So look, we'll leave it there. And I appreciate you coming in. Yeah, I will. I might even have some noodles just to kind of celebrate having this awesome conversation with you. So look, mate, thanks very much. We'll be in touch. And nice. You stay safe and stay happy. And just keep doing what you're doing, hey? And we'll be looking out for you and all your cool awesomeness.
Same for you. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. You take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye.